Me Kudo Women, we are Àgèlògbàgàn, Agbovi the first, paramount monarch of the Maroon Monarchy of Ganlodo. We can be reached at ekaabokilombo@gmail. That is EKAABOKILOMBO@gmail.com. Some of you all watching this have our personal phone number. And that's one reason we're making this video. A few of our friends from the port city of Mobile, Alabama, where I'm from, are inquiring. They're starting to check out my stuff a little bit more. And so we realized we need to catch them up on a few things. Though this video is not about that, one thing, when we say Axosu, that means king in the Aja culture, primarily found in southern Benin, Togo, the farthest corner of southwest Nigeria, and in parts of Ghana. All those people speak a similar language, have a similar culture. Those from Mobile watching this probably know about the Clotilda, the captive ship that was captained by William Foster. The Mir brothers made a bet that they could, illegally send a ship, capture Africans, or put some captured Africans on a boat and bring them back to Mobile without getting caught. It was a $100,000 bet. That was in 1860. So you do the math on what that money was worth. Of course, that ship landed in what we call Plateau, Alabama, where Kidd Park and all that is. And the last surviving person on record from those 129 Africans that were captured on the Clotilda. And the Clotilda, by the way, they burnt it down because they got chased by a man of war ship. Those were the ships used by the British to hunt down illegal slave ships and pirate ships. So they got to the coast and burnt it down, and many of the Africans that were on there were scattered about. And Kojo Lewis died in 1935, his real name was Kazula Kojo Lewis. Kojo, that name, forgive me means forgive us. His real name was Kazula Kojo, or Kojo Kazula. Kojo means one born on a Monday. It got turned into Cujo over here, but it's really Kojo. That name suggests that he was from the Aja culture, his name. The very, very culture that I have been crowned since 2010 a king in, right? All right. So we wanted to give our Mobile people and people new to our video that quick background. What we want to talk about real briefly today is because we've had some very good friends passing away at an early age and whatnot recently, over the past couple of months. Two good friends of ours. So this one recently, kind of got to us a little bit more, not taken away from anybody else. So there have been inquiries as to why we don't say the name of a deceased person for a certain amount of time in our culture, in African culture. This is pretty much universally African, meaning most African cultures adhere to this principle. Time period may be a little different with different ones. For us, it's a complete calendar year. The Yoruba of Southwest Nigeria do it, the Aja, the Akan people of Ghana, the Igbo, they all do the year thing. One simple reason why we don't call the name of a deceased person is we have to give that soul time to evolve to get to the next stage of transition. You hear a lot of people say such and such made their transition. Well, actually, like when somebody passed away, they immediately say such and such transition. That's part of the transition. The transition takes up to a year. basically a year or more, right? We don't call the name of that deceased individual because that soul now, when the soul separates from the body, right? There's a total separation, right? We call it Iku in Yoruba. That means death, right? That soul is kind of like when you wake up in a fog, you know, just imagine somebody right there in your face. You're like, give me a minute, you know, that type of thing. So when you're calling the name of a person, it may confuse the spirit. It may confuse that person. That person may have passed away in a traumatic way also. When you keep calling their name like that, they can't properly transition. That's part of the reason that African communities in America here, so-called black people, just part now, we got many issues, right? But that's part of the reason that there's so much traumatic energy going on in our communities. It heightens at certain times of the year, if you notice. These are what we call spiritual vortexes, right? Even when we have, you know, good communities where, you know, it ain't a lot of crime or whatnot, you go behind those closed doors, though. That's because many of the deceased people, A, are not transitioning properly. They're not being allowed to transition. And B, they're not being elevated. Now, that takes us to the next level of what we do. So during that year, there are certain rituals and ceremonies that are done to help this soul elevate and transition to what we call Kutome. Kutome literally means the kingdom of the deceased, where the Kulita live. Kulita is the Aja word for ancestor. So, so we do rituals, we do ceremonies. After 40 days, we start doing the ceremonies. So for 40 days, we really don't do anything except for the burial. And there's a slight ceremony with that. But this is for those that are new to African culture or in African culture, never heard this before. But in particular for my people who, like, they don't have a clue. They like, that's my man, I know him, but I want to know more what he's about. And so we thought we'd take this opportunity in relation, unfortunately, to a good friend of many of you that's watching this, to explain some of these things. So even if you're Christian or whatever, look at the science behind this. You may not want to be, you know, the tradition the culture that we live and practice is Vodou, you know. It's not a religion, it is a complete way of life. Some people may say his religion is Vodou. No, this is a way of life. And we call it Handoa. No, not Handoa. We call it Huando. Handoa and Huando, they're kind of similar in structure, so that's even us as a master teacher of this culture, we kind of cross that up sometimes. But Huando, it's spelled H-W-E, and the E is open, Huando, H-W-E-N-D-O. And that's culture, way of life, you know, so even though this is Vodou, and you may be not in Vodou, you may not be in an African tradition, you have to look at the science behind how our ancestors thought. This is a tradition of thousands of years. You know, a lot of people like to say, well, hey, we were kings and queens and we were this and we had great civilization. We had these great civilizations because we had these particular protocols, these type of protocols in place that we're teaching about right now. So, we hope this has been educational, from a functional level. The books we write, the videos we do, the things we teach, or it's not meant to amass knowledge. We're not conscious. We're not woke. That's for the, you know, no offense, but the conscious woke movement is filled with a lot of intellectual masturbation. And the information we present, we give, especially what we teach to those who are citizens of Àgèlògbàgàn, is for functionality. There's no reason to teach it unless it can be used, right? So, another quick note on the name thing. So when it is time to call their name, there's a phrase in Yoruba, it is Ibaratorun. So you say the person's name, let's say it's John Ibaratorun. That's what you say when about a venerated deceased person, right? And that helps, believe it or not, that is a chant. We say in the Àgèl language, Mabo, right? After the name. So that helps the person elevate to a higher level, right? Now, really didn't mean to get too far into this. We'll get into this at all, but we have to talk about Atuwa, which is reincarnation, right? These people often come back in the family line somewhere. You want them to come back as peaceful as possible. That's why the elevation ceremonies, the not calling their name, and other intricacies that we have in our culture is very important. You know? I mean, we've all seen it. We've seen everybody's on the, 4 siblings, everybody good. And this is one bad seed. It's because probably this person is a reincarnated ancestor that was a bad seed when they were on earth, right? And the proper ceremonies and whatnot were not done to elevate that person when they deceased, so when they come back here, they can be a better person. And I'm giving you the simplest version of that. So we have to think about, we have to take our personal opinions and personal grief out of the way. African culture does a good job of that. You could grieve, but don't be so selfish where this particular soul cannot elevate properly. You look at a lot of this stuff, especially we talk about Mobile, Alabama, from what we've been hearing, what we've seen online and whatnot. A lot of these people, they are reincarnated bad seeds. Some of them are reincarnated overseers. They were overseers on plantations. Some of them are reincarnated from Africa, the ones that was capturing our ancestors and selling them into captivity or so-called slavery. Now whether you're a Christian, Muslim, or whatever, you have to look at the science of that. How is this to be explained? And this is not an escape explanation like the Christian, God works in mysterious ways, but nobody ever tells you what that mysterious way is. This is a spiritual science that we're talking about. These people, for instance, there are certain things about me I only find out through a spiritual reading that I was always like this. Then, there's a particular religion that I don't care for, right? Just to give you an idea. Now, they come from the same stock. Christianity, Islam, Judaism come from the same stock. But I had a particular dislike for Islam. No offense to any Muslim watching this, but we're just giving you the science of this, right? So I got a reading. I got what is called a roots reading, right? And I found out how my ancestor was captured, who he was captured by, right? The circumstances, when, and where they came, which was obviously Mobile. So this ancestor, all of the setup for him being sold into captivity was done by Muslims. Now, they weren't always Muslims, but that's just to give you a personal idea of how this ancestral thing works, right? So now, spiritual work had to be done, whereas if I'm ever in a position like to hire, which I end up having my own company as I do now, to hire or whatever, to not discriminate against Muslims, and some other stuff, But what I'm saying, the science behind our culture is unmatched. Christianity, Judaism, Islam couldn't have given you that. Couldn't give me that. I would have never knew. Cause I would notice that I had a problem with Christianity. I left Christianity, right? But I had a double problem with Islam. I'm like, if they talking all this mess about Christians, they ain't doing no better, which that is true. But I just had an extra problem with Islam, And we found out that Rita got years ago why. And why certain other things, injustice, all that. My ancestor, had a big taste of injustice, Any of our ancestors, any of you are watching this, your ancestors were sold into captivity. That was injustice, but that was a particular case around my ancestor that really got him. So he decided to come back as me, right? I know that sounds a little strange, but you see babies all the time. We look just like such and such, Uncle such and such, a great granddad. Might want to check into that. His name might be Baba Tunde. Baba Tunde means the reincarnation of the grandfather or the great grandfather, or Katawakata, etc., further back. That's in Yoruba language. So that we're gonna leave you there. That's we didn't really intend to go this long. We wanted this to be very informal, and we want to hear some feedback, especially from people from Mobile, especially those that know what's going on. Keep in mind the way a person dies. Sometimes it has a lot of effect on how they need to transition for that year or whatever. So that will like add on to the ritual that is done. Special rituals will have to be done. So we don't want to say too much here, but y'all can contact me. Right. Odigba. On the website, restorationhealing.com. Restorationhealing.com. That's where our publications are. And our monarchy is ganlodokingdom.com. GANLODO kingdom.com. Odigba. That means goodbye until the next time in the Yoruba language.